What's up, everybody? Welcome back to After the Snap, and I'm your host, Tasha Pierce. And yeah, I've been waiting to comment on this situation until we got some type of resolution, and we are at resolution time. The rubber has met the road for Mr. R. Kelly because as of today, he has been convicted of the racketeering charges that he was facing, dealing with him trafficking women. He's had a long and very storied history of being predatory towards young women, and it has caught up with him today. And as usual, if you are ever curious as to what articles I have done my research with, and what I was reading up on to get my information, all of those pertinent links are in the description of this video. And I'm not going to wait around because, you can, if you join late, as long as you're here, right? We're going to start again with the itinerary, and it is located in the description box. Again, we're talking about R. Kelly being found guilty on federal racketeering charges. Let's start with the New York Times, is where I got my information for this particular story. And let's just start at the top. The trial lasted 6 weeks. It was in Brooklyn. And they say that the testimony was pretty disturbing over... what's up, Dion? They say that the testimony was pretty disturbing as we went into what R. Kelly had been accused of doing. And then the fact that he has been revered over many years of being this great singer and a good presence for the black community. And now here we are finding ourselves faced with the truth of who he really is. And the guilty verdict forever brands R. Kelly as a predator. He's forever that. And what's up? What's up, Bun? So, the New York jury convicted R. Kelly on all 9 charges against him. And then the federal prosecutors had a simple message for the people who testified against him, and that was thank you. He's forever now a predator, according to the prosecutors. He used his fame and his fortune to prey on the young, the vulnerable, and the voiceless for his own gratification. Recent news that came out about this story was that there were some videotapes that were released, and that these videotapes is probably what sold it up for R. Kelly. Not just the video, the media had been given the access to the audio of these tapes as well, and they say it was very disturbing to listen to. So much of the evidence that prosecutors used to convict him came from him. Now, we all know that he wasn't the sharpest pencil in the pencil box. We all know that he was a little dim. And a lot of people are wondering if he even understood the charges that he was facing, because it's well known that he's kind of illiterate. I'm going to stop for just a second because Miss Dion has something to say. I know, right? I'm so disappointed in him. I feel so guilty when I listen, sing, or dance to Step in the Name of Love now. Yeah, he kind of ruined the whole Chocolate Factory, all of that. That was music that we lived by for that era, and it's ruined for me. However, we knew, especially us, coming from the area that we came from and living in the region that we did, we knew R. Kelly had a problem. And I feel guilty for, even after that first time he went to trial over his behavior, I feel guilty because that wasn't enough to make me say, "What's up, Raymond?" That wasn't enough to make me say, "I'm through with R. Kelly." That first time around, he was found not guilty, but we knew. So I feel the same level of guilt when I listen to or sing or enjoy the music, but won't be getting nothing new from him. Like I told my friend Bud here, I was like, he gonna be singing the blues in prison. He's facing life in prison. Of course, they have not come up with what the sentence is going to be just yet, but he's 53, I think he is. Let me make sure. Of course, they don't have the age right in the first part of the article. I want to say R. Kelly is 53, and if I come up with something different as the stream goes along, I'll let you know. But he's 53 years old. We knew he was a little touched. We know he's a little slow, a little illiterate. But that doesn't mean that he didn't understand that what he's doing is wrong. And I mean that in the fact that of 54, Raymond? Okay. So yeah. I mean that that he knew what he was doing was wrong. He might not have understood it. He might not have understood it during that first trial initially. But after they showed the tapes and explained what he had done wrong, he knew that he was wrong at this point. So to continue and to carry on doing these things, the first time, shame on us. The second time, it's definitely shame on him. He effed up. And it was one thing, like my dad, he used to talk about O.J. Simpson. He used to say, O.J. Simpson just couldn't leave well enough alone. He got away with murder. I don't know why he ain't just sit someplace and be quiet after that. And, of course, O.J. Simpson ended up serving a lot of time in prison. And I'm saying the same thing about R. Kelly. I find myself sounding more and more like my father every day. But R. Kelly got away with this thing one time. There was a videotape and everything of him peeing on a little girl. He got away with this once. So the question is, why didn't he learn? Why didn't he learn from his mistakes? Because that was a huge misstep. He basically got away with it the first time. So this time he said, I'm gonna do it a little more sneaky. So they were saying in this trial, you learn that he obsessively collected message slips and letters written by the women he interacted with, some of them underage. And in these letters, he forced them to write that he didn't do anything to them. And that's the kind of shit that you hear about in like cults, like the Nexium cult. That is just one of many cults that made the members write down on a piece of paper something that would be embarrassing if it came out or contrary to what the real truth was, so that if they ever got the nerve to report them, they've got some evidence on them as well. That's, to me, it yells of intent. Dion says he got away with Aaliyah too. Exactly. The whole damn industry is guilty in that situation to me. Well, you know what? I'm going to put it on her parents squarely if they knew about it. Now, I'm not saying that they knew about the relationship, whatever relationship him and Aaliyah had, but they definitely knew about the marriage. And the people in his corner didn't tell him to stop. He thought that he would get a slap on the hand again. You know what? You a grown... That man, you just told me how old he is. That man, 54 years old. You know he knows the difference between right and wrong. Maybe he didn't realize, because he's a little touched. Maybe he didn't realize in the beginning how much trouble he could get in over this thing. But this time, he knew. And the people around him should also, his circle should also go to prison because they enabled him. Bond says, I need family to get in trouble too, because why you as parents let a grown man stay under your child? Exactly. And okay, they wanted their child to have a successful music career, and they thought that R. Kelly was one of the tickets that would allow for her to have that. Once you realize that he was sexually abusing this child, because that's exactly what it is, it's sexual abuse. That's when he should have been locked up then. We should have been through with this then. I don't know how y'all feel about these 14 to 15-year-old girls. I don't care how fast they are, because we know that there are some fast ass little girls. However, him as a man, he should be the person to keep his head, to keep, stronger minds should prevail. Dion says, right, same thing I felt about Michael Jackson. Why they let their kids spend the night with a grown man? Precisely. The only difference with Michael Jackson is he's no longer here to face charges again for what he had been accused of. And Michael Jackson's money was longer. Michael Jackson's money was so long that so many people just shut up once he cut the check. R. Kelly, if we are to believe what is being reported, R. Kelly is $2 million in the hole. He don't have no money. He doesn't have a dime. He ain't got 2 nickels to rub together. Now, we know that the famous, then you flying your kids out to him, right? We know that the famous interview that he did with Gayle King, where he stated that at 53 years old, it was the first time he had ever walked into the bank on his own. Now, I don't know if we 100% believe it, but I do believe that he had no clue where his money was. I do believe that that what was in the bank was beyond his understanding. He had no understanding of how money worked. And the people who were robbing him and fleecing him of all his money, they knew that all we got to do is leave something there. We can take as much as we want slowly. We can't just take it all at once. They left something there. He's looking at his bank account. He got $300,000. He's thinking he's good, only to find out that that's all you got is $300,000. And he owed people money. He literally owed his ex-wife child support, which means to me, R. Kelly is nobody that we should look up to no more. Not even for his music. Because even when you thought you had all that money, you wasn't taking care of your kids either. But you out here effing around with these little girls, but you ain't taking care of your children. Dion says, laughing my ass off, no money, R. Kelly gonna have to sing and dance for commissary. Exactly. I'm wondering how he's even paying the legal team that he has. I'm guessing that this legal team was not as good as the first one he had, because he was convicted. And then even some of the things that I read as the case was going on over these 6 weeks, I read that the lawyer asked a young lady, okay, set the situation up. This young lady said that she went out there to do an interview. She came to his place to do an interview. And when she got there, she was made to fill out a non-disclosure agreement and then to sit in a room and wait for R. Kelly. And she sat there. They took her phone, I think. She sat there for days on end. Now, you're only there to do an interview. Interviews shouldn't take days. But they kept saying that he was very busy, but he was going to come in and talk to her as soon as they got an opportunity. And then again, he never came. It took days. She was allowed to make certain phone calls, but she never called for help. But I'm not about to blame her in this moment, because as it turns out, she was there with no food. They bought her some Chinese food. She ate it, and then she said she passed out. So she is implying that her food was poisoned. And I'm not poisoned, but drugged. So, okay. She's implying that the food was drugged, and when she came out of this drug that had been put in her food, she saw R. Kelly pulling his pants up and walking out of the room. She didn't even talk to this man. He just left. He did what he did and left the room. And his attorney said, "Do you think the Chinese food made you sleep like that? Are you fucking kidding me? Do you think it was the MSG? Since when does MSG? Now, MSG do a whole lot of shit, they say. But I ain't never known for it to put your ass to sleep for hours while somebody rapes you. I've never seen it happen." Hey, Reinhardt. So you just got here. Are you aware, sir, of the of the R. Kelly situation and him being found guilty of the federal racketeering charges that he was facing? If so, then you are just as caught up as everybody in the chat. Okay, and most of the people in the chat, like originally Reinhardt, I don't know if I've ever mentioned that to y'all, that I'm from that Chicago area. I'm from Gary, Indiana, and most of the people in the chat are from that area as well. And R. Kelly is somewhat of a legend, not only because of his music, but because of his behavior. We have probably been hearing about his behavior as long as we've been hearing about his music. He's gotten away with quite a bit. I don't know. I don't know if MSG, that's what the attorney is trying to make us feel like, that this MSG is what made her feel like she had slept for days and that she was being accosted by R. Kelly. So I don't get it. So if your attorney is that stupid, let me see. Reinhardt says, "No, he wasn't, but I knew about the trial. But let's be honest, Tasha, this stuff is following this guy for decades. Where I live now, I've been here 26 years. There were people talking in 1994. Absolutely. I am 100% with you when you're right. And that's what we were talking about earlier. A lot of the rumors about him started off as just rumors. I'm from the Jacksons' hometown. Yep. You knew there was a reason you liked me. Yeah, I ain't got that talent though. If I could cut a rug the way the Jacksons did, I wouldn't be doing YouTube. But yeah, the rumors were at first of him liking these young ass girls. It started when we were younger. So okay, to me, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, we're 20 something years old. He's probably messing around with 17, 18-year-old girls, and in some parts of the country that's okay. But no, we were finding out that the girls were younger and younger, and by the time the Aaliyah situation happened, we had already heard it all. We had heard an awful lot about R. Kelly, and by the time the Aaliyah situation happened, if her parents weren't trying to protect her purity, maybe this would have been over. It could have been over if they would have just, hey, not only did he statutorily rape my daughter, but he falsified identification so that he can marry her. Now that to me is next level sick. And it's also saying that what you're doing is wrong. If you faked the documents to marry Aaliyah because you thought she was pregnant, then you knew that you needed to cover up what you did. You knew you were wrong. And that to me would have been a cut and dried, open and shut case. But instead, here we are 20 some years later, and we are facing, we're finally seeing some justice for these people. And Sparkle should have sat him down. Somebody should have sat him down. Somebody. He has so many people in his circle because, I'm going to talk about Kelly Price after we get through talking about R. Kelly, because I think R. Kelly is going to be the top of our conversations. But even like people like her, Kelly Price, you're supposed to be a gospel icon, legend. You mean to tell me you was running around with this dude and he was doing this shit? Did you know? You know what I'm saying? Ron Isley, did you know that he was on this type of stuff? Because to me, that makes you complicit. The longer that you hang around somebody that you know is doing dirt, you got women covering themselves in feces because they didn't ask to go to the bathroom, or they came out of the room and made eye contact with another man. You're supposed to walk with your head down. What the hell kind of shit is this? And then you make them cover themselves in feces. Now, I'm not saying that these women are 100% not to blame, because I don't know that R. Kelly or anybody else will make me spread shit all over myself. That doesn't even sound right. So, okay, R. Kelly asked them or demanded that they do some real crazy shit. That don't mean they had to do it. That don't mean they had to do it. But again, I can't speak for that situation because I'm not in it, and I don't know if the situation was purely financial for a lot of these ladies. I don't know if they were there because they had no place else because he held the purse strings. So I don't know. But that also takes me to us teaching our kids, especially our daughters. No, teaching our kids, because that's another thing that we got to get away from as a society. Is women are fragile and women are. He said, "Is that the reason why Jay-Z left his ass alone?" That is part of it, I think. I think that I heard, even back then, even when they had that best of both worlds thing going on, I heard that R. Kelly, I heard that Jay-Z couldn't deal with the stuff that he had been doing on tour. He's like he's wilding. Of course, there were other things. I think they were saying that he and R. Kelly had like a little ego clash. That's one thing. You don't let your egos mess with your money. But then once Jay-Z realized, look, I'm not only are we fucking with our money with each other, but you putting me in danger of getting in trouble for fucking around with these young girls, and I'm not even doing it. So I think that's why they cut that tour off and they stopped messing with each other. But of course, now that I don't have an article or anything to substantiate what I just said. R. Kelly is going to jail. Yes, he is, Michael. Yes, he is. It's a matter of just now how long he's facing life. And even if he doesn't get life in Brooklyn, there are other people waiting to try him over the same types of shit. So yeah. But I'm going back to this story about him making these women write these letters to basically exonerate him. Let me see. Wow, I didn't know about putting shit on yourself. Yes, this man was sick. Now, it's one thing when we heard about the video, and many of us saw it because it was online for a long time. But it's one thing when we were talking about that video where he had the golden shower video. That's one thing. But now you got women literally spreading shit on themselves and taking pictures and videoing it so that you could put it out there if they ever turned on you. They're going to put him in the feds. Yeah, these are federal charges, bud. So yeah, these are federal charges. He going to a federal prison. But there are other states that are still trying to get a bite out of the R. Kelly apple. And I think that it's going to be very contingent on what he is sentenced to in Brooklyn, whether or not, and what's going to happen on appeal. Because, of course, he doesn't have any money, but he could get a public defender to appeal, and maybe his sentence will be reduced. So people are going to watch to see, especially the prosecutors and all these other major cities are going to watch to see what he's tried with. I mean, what he's sentenced to. And then they will determine whether they're going to seek charges as well. Because if it's a short sentence, yeah, they're going to other states are going to go after him. Because he went over state lines on several occasions, but he can also be hit with state charges if these federal charges are not long enough. If he doesn't get a long enough sentence. But let me go back to the letters. I keep stopping with the letters, but that's okay. So, Reinhardt, he said, Tasha, I'm telling you, people are so blinded by fame. I have somebody in my family right now that doesn't believe that R. Kelly or Bill Cosby did anything wrong. And Lysandra says, I think they putting him in the feds because he has to do most of his time. Okay, so that's two comments. Reinhardt, I'm going to tell you, I know people who still believe that Bill Cosby didn't do anything, even though Bill Cosby admitted to doing something. Now, let me go on record to say this. I don't believe everybody who came out and said these people did something to him. I don't believe everybody is telling the truth. But I believe if one person is telling the truth, then you earned your charges. You earned these charges. So we're looking at Bill Cosby, for instance. Bill Cosby admitted that he drugged one person's drink. Well, if you did it once, then history will dictate that you probably did it twice. And if you did it twice, you might have did it 5 or 6 times. So you did it. Go to jail. Now, did I think that Bill Cosby should have served life in prison for the number of charges? Yes. Or it would have been life for Bill Cosby because he's old as hell. But for the number of charges and the number of charges he was found guilty on, yes. Yes, he should have. And now here we're doing the same thing about R. Kelly. And yes, there are still people to this day. Chicago will light your ass up in some areas if you say that R. Kelly is guilty, even though they know that he's guilty. They know we all came from the same era. We watched the video. We know that you've done it once. You've probably, more than likely, we know you've done it twice because we got the Aaliyah situation and we got the golden shower situation. So now, I believe you did it all of those times. And now it's time to pay the piper. Remember he used to call himself the Pied Piper? That was a pun. So yeah. And then the federal prison, he will have to serve most of his time. But they say that he's going to get, they're sentencing him now. They haven't come up with the sentence. So he could get up to life in prison. But what if he only gets 10 years? Then you got a 63-year-old R. Kelly back on the streets. And no, he's not the same R. Kelly with the same status, but it's still R. Kelly. He should be, I think he should be put away longer than 10 years. So if they put him away for 10 years, then another state might say, oh, well, we'll have time for him to serve his time over here. Okay, it says here, still reading from the New York Times, and again, if you want to see the articles that I'm referencing, they will always be a link to the article in the description if you would like to read along. Okay, so it says Mr. Kelly kept some of the evidence, which is those letters we were talking about, in FedEx folders with labels like old messages. Oh shit. I'm telling you, this man was so touched. In other pieces, he had a 7-page front and back handwritten letter from a woman who testified for 3 days early in the trial in protective sleeves in a locked safe. Okay, Dion says, well, I can't lie. I low-key believe Michael Jackson was innocent. It might be because I'm from Gary, too. You know what, girl? Look, me and you, we gonna have to agree to disagree. Because I think Michael Jackson was diddling those kids. I think he was diddling, maybe not all of the kids, but I think he diddled one or two. Some of the kids he didn't mess with, but some of them I think he put his funny colored peen on. So yeah, but he made this lady write a 7-page front and back handwritten letter, put it in a locked safe because he wanted to use it as leverage if she ever got the gumption to tell on him. So in this letter, it says, Mr. Kelly is a great man. At the age of 17, I never had sex with Robert Kelly. Then proceeded to tick off a list of specific sex acts that she said she had not participated in with the R&B superstar. So that's like me saying, Reinhardt, me and you gonna rob a bank, but I need you to write this letter first and write that Tasha never robbed a bank. I never told you to get in the car, to drive to the bank, to give me a gun and a mask. I never did that. Just the fact that you're writing all these specific things down kind of tells me that I did it, right? So that was stupid. I don't know. I try not to call him stupid, but that was stupid. Less than 2 years later, when the woman who had written the letter testified under a pseudonym, she said she had experienced coerced and recorded sexual encounters with the singer starting when she was 17. He hit her often and said she said, and he forced her to get an abortion. Every letter that prosecutors introduced at trial came from Mr. Kelly's personal collection in what appeared to be a years-long attempt to build his defense even before he was indicted. He wasn't even indicted yet. You got these leverage letters floating around talking about all the shit that you didn't do. And the fact that you got them in these locked cabinets means you probably did that shit, R. Whitney Pollard says, R. Kelly also did things to boys too. That was new to me. This trial opened up my eyes to some of the other stuff that he was into. And there's one guy who was doing a lot of testifying who said that he'd been running around with R. Kelly for like a decade because R. Kelly was supposed to be getting him in the music industry. But we ain't diddled. Yes, Dion, he diddled them boys. But we never heard an album from this young man. Okay? You've been running around with R. Kelly for 10 years to work on music, but you've never put out any music. So the question was from the attorneys, were you in a sexual relationship with R. Kelly? Of course, he says no, but I believe he was. I believe that the young men who testified could they have possibly been making it up? Of course they could have possibly been making it up, but everybody don't get herpes. Everybody don't get herpes and then blame it on one person. If I never had sex with you, I cannot blame you for giving me a sexually transmitted disease. And that is one of the things that kind of messed with me about the boys. I'm like, are you serious? You're out here abusing boys and girls. But he was predatory with the young ladies. And it was a lot easier with the young ladies. You say, yes, I was shocked too. No one is safe from R. Kelly. Exactly. So everybody hide your butts in jail because R. Kelly is coming through. But one of the things that I really think that it's easier for a predator with the status of R. Kelly to get a girl, because all of us got stars in our eyes over these over celebrities. Reinhardt says, Tasha, R. Kelly is not the only person that should go to jail. All these people who are around him that enabled him, they also should go. He didn't cover all this stuff up for decades by himself. He absolutely didn't. And I certainly hope that there will be charges forthcoming with the people that were in his circle and the people who stayed in his circle even after they knew what type of person that he was, because he was a mess. So Whitney laughed. So these young ladies are easier prey when it's a male superstar and they are straight females, stars in our eyes over these celebrities. I think I'm in love with Idris Elba until Idris Elba pisses on me, makes me wipe shit on my face, and make me write a letter saying that he didn't do none of that. Now I don't like Idris so much. And that's what these young ladies were finding out. That, okay, they think that they're special because R. Kelly showing attention to them. And yeah, that attention feels great until it's raining pee on you and you're locked in a room having to ask for permission to go to the bathroom. That's where things start to get a little wonky. But yes, Reinhardt, I'm in total agreement. He should not go down alone. Some of these people, especially the people who admitted to getting him the documents and stuff for the Aaliyah situation. Those people, that's federal. That's a federal crime. Falsifying your identification, falsifying documentation for any purpose is a crime, and they should go to jail for it. But they should also go to jail for the exact same charges that he is, the racketeering. They got him basically on those RICO charges, and the RICO charges were put in place to basically stop drug trafficking and to follow the money of money laundering. But here we are now in a whole different situation. We're also using it to capture people who are doing the human trafficking. There's no cash involved because Mr. Kelly is broke. He is broke. Speaking of which, he says that they're saying that he owes the IRS like $2 million. So he was going to jail anyway. If they didn't get him for this, they would just go get him for tax evasion. He is a cooked goose right now. But yeah, so R. Kelly collected all this collateral, and it does. If somebody has that type of collateral on you, it does make it hard to leave. Reinhardt, Tasha, I don't know if you know what's going on with Marilyn Manson. Period. Pretty much the same thing. Only one of the women he abused was Evan Rachel Wood, and she's very famous. I have heard what, but see the difference, and I can't say because I'm not a Marilyn Manson fan, and I never have. I've never followed his music and all of that. However, one thing about Marilyn Manson is he's someplace shutting the fuck up. R. Kelly continued to do stuff. He continued to do stuff. Lysandra says, other people in the industry doing the same thing, but have not gotten caught yet. You are 100% correct. It's people not in the industry doing the same thing that haven't gotten caught yet. I think that what we need to do, and I was going into this earlier and I forgot. I think what we need to do is to teach our kids that this is not a proper situation. And if these people, if somebody like that approaches you with that type of proposition, that we need to know about it. I don't want my nieces, my nephews either, but I think my nephews can hold their own. But my niece is a young lady. you know. And when it's male attention, we all have been young girls, all of us that are female anyway. uh, we know what male attention. Sometimes it's that ego boost that we be looking for, but all attention ain't good attention. And it's even, we can go back to high school, and I know Dion, you know who I'm talking about. I won't say no names. We can go back to high school. It was teachers doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? And the young ladies that were involved with these teachers feel like, oh yeah, I wanted him to do that. I wanted this. I wanted that. You're not understanding. This person is placed in a position of trust by society, your parents, despite what you think your body wants, because your body would have accepted it from somebody your age as well. It didn't have to be this grown ass man who is basically praying on in the hallways of a school that he teaches at. Sandra says, I bet if he still had money paying these people, they would not have said anything. That's probably true. I think that if one person said something, though, that should have been enough. Like, if he paid off 33 people and one person said something, that should have been enough. Yeah, Dion said they still gonna get him on their taxes, and you 100% correct. So if he gets sentenced to 1 year on these racketeering charges, they coming back and hitting him with tax evasion, and guess what? He gonna serve that time just like Wesley Snipes did. Wesley Snipes had to serve time. So does R. Kelly. Not that I'm big up in Wesley, because we know that at one point he was accused of being abusive to women as well. He's supposed to be the reason why Halle Berry can't hear out of one of her ears is Wesley Snipes. So I'm not saying he's a great guy. He served time for tax evasion. So yeah. And this is again, what I was talking about is the collateral that R. Kelly was collecting. And I mentioned the Nexium cult, and the guy Keith Raniere, he also did the exact same types of things. He would make people write damaging statements, and he would say, I'm going to turn these over to the police if you tell on me, or if you try to leave this cult. And I think that is the tact that it's not, it's something that is like encoded in these people's DNA. I'm not trying to make an excuse, but all this manipulation, all these people are doing the same things. This has got to be some shit that's like, it's like a genetic defect. Dion, you remember who I'm talking about? Yes, you know who I'm talking about at school. Reinhardt says, Tasha, I worked with a guy in a restaurant years ago. Everybody loved this guy. I know you was cool. We all did. Turned out this upstanding family man was having sex with his stepdaughter, who was 12. Oh my gosh. I hope he got his ass beat. Besides going to prison, because that's what we want. But that's crazy. But that is exactly how this thing goes too. It's people that you trust. Whitney says, oh, she's talking to Reinhardt. Always the ones you would never expect, and that is what I was just about to say. You got this trust in these people, and they're in a position of power, whether that be being a teacher or a manager at your job or a celebrity. They hold a position of power, and then they abuse it. It's the people you never expect. People sending their kids over to Michael Jackson's house, just like Dion said. Oh, he got invited to Michael Jackson's house, and he gonna sleep in the bed with him. That sounds right to you? It said, hell, if Ron Isley went to jail, R. Kelly going 100. And Reinhardt said, when that guy we were talking about a while ago, when he was arrested, all the people that I knew that still worked there were stunned, period. But they weren't the only ones, and it was all children of family members. Yep. That's the way that shit generally goes down. And every time you put period, I forgot you do that voice, you do the voice chat thing, and that's why it says period. So anyhow, that's what I'm saying. You never know. It's just like back in the day, the pastor at my church, his son was just on some real bullshit. And I mean, and he by the time his son did these things that he did, he was the principal at the school that the church ran. And what he did was kidnap the little girl, had her, he thought he was in love with this little 12-year-old girl, and he took her across the country. Well, that church is the church that I grew up in. And these people this is a person who did the eulogy for my mama. You know what I'm saying? So you look at them like people that you can 100% trust. And they did so much for the family. And then it turns out that they are garbage ass individuals. And that's what we found out about R. Kelly. Yes, the music is great. The music was wonderful. But he was just a piece of shit human. And he still is. Yeah, he still is. There are diehard fans that were sitting outside of the courthouse at this trial, the R. Kelly trial, and these people act like they lost a loved one. Yeah, these are people I can't believe. You don't know this man. They think they know him, but they don't know him. Whitney says, I feel strongly about this because when I was 12, our female babysitter did something to me. Yes, a female. It's horrible, and anyone can be an abuser, and the ones you never expect. I'm so sorry that happened, Whitney. And I'm not sure how old you are. It's like a certain. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody. But there was a period in time where it was almost expected to happen, and I'm in that age range where people would do things, and the question would be, what did I do to make that person do what they did? So that is the backdrop of the 90s when I came up, or the 80s really. Whitney says those fans need to wake up. They most certainly do. It's shockingly disgusting. Oh, and you a baby too, Whitney. Oh, where's she at? I'm gonna take I ain't got no Vaseline, I ain't got no earrings on. I'm going to get her. She better not put her hands on you no more, or nobody else. But yeah, you're a baby. That's sad. Because it's sad because, just like I just said, that was part and parcel of growing up in the era that we grew up in. But to know that this type of thing is still very prevalent, and especially now, you can't even leave your daughters with a female babysitter because you don't know what they are, what the babysitter is capable of. That's sad. What do we do? What do we do? A lot of people will say, we need to teach our daughters this and that. And I'm saying we need to teach our sons as well. Just like I've got a son. He's in your age range, Whitney. He's 27. So I got a son, and growing up, we teach him, you don't hit girls. But if the person sitting next to me who has daughters is not teaching her daughters, you don't hit boys, then now I'm just setting my son up to be abused by a woman. You never hit girls, This is what we tell our boys. But we don't tell our young ladies, you don't hit the boys either. It makes me think, and I know I'm about to get off track. Definitely about to get off track because of that Gabby Petito situation. And I don't know how many people are true crime heads. I am. And that Gabby Petito situation, there was that body cam footage from the police when when the police were called to intervene in a domestic situation between Gabby Petito and her boyfriend. Now, when the police talk to both, they say, hey, the little girl says, I hit him, I was slapping him because I wanted him to stop calling me crazy or something. And then the boy is saying, oh yeah, she was hitting me, she slapped me because of this or that. But the whole world is like, oh, he was hitting that girl. We just know it. No, it doesn't mean he should have killed that little girl. But it also doesn't mean that she was telling a lie when she said that she hit him. She hit him. That's what she did. Reinhardt says, give you a little update on the Marilyn Manson thing. Oh, I got to put some glasses on. Evan Rachel Wood is the star of Westworld. Okay, I'm familiar with her on HBO. And other women have come out against Manson saying he would tie them up and being abusive. Mentally and physically, and sometimes lock them in rooms for days on end. Now, who's that sound like? Sounds exactly like his boy, R. Kelly. And then Whitney says, you raised your son so well teaching him that, and yes, girls need to know that too. But at the same time, because that was part of the point that I was making there, Whitney, the other part of the point is we teach our girls what not to do to be abused, pretty much. Or if somebody does something to you, you tell us. You make sure you let us know if somebody touches you, or if somebody does this, somebody does that. We make sure you tell us. And you don't wear a short skirt. You got on too much makeup. You look grown. You're doing this, you're doing that. We're telling them this to keep a man from doing something to them. But who is telling the man, just because she got that on, don't mean she wants you to touch her. And just because she's wearing a lot of makeup does not mean that she's whatever type of woman that you thinking in your mind she is. It's gotta be equal. We gotta teach our kids the same shit across the board. R. Kelly is there's still gonna be R. Kellys out there, but we need to equip our children to be able to handle the situation when somebody like a R. Kelly comes on to them. It's actually a scary situation to bring children and grandchildren up in. But thank you, Whitney, for saying that I raised them well. I think all of us in the chat right now, I know Lysandra and Dion, we are all on the same page about that our sons are not to abuse women. But I'm damn sure not about to sit around and accept my son being abused as either. Because abuse goes both ways. It really does. But I got a big old boy. He better not put his hands on no woman. He's a big man. So yeah. But we still got these people talking about we not giving up. Free Robert Sylvester Kelly. You do not know this man. All you know is his music. I wish that he wasn't an effed up person, because I'm going to miss the music, because I'm not fucking with R. Kelly no more. We did this shit before in the 90s. I'm not doing it no more. I'm not messing with him anymore. None of his music, as much as I love it. Now, that Surviving R. Kelly documentary was pretty much what sealed his fate, I think. That documentary reopened or took the scab off the wound that we thought had healed over from the first time he went on trial for this shit. This time with that documentary and all these new people who came out saying, that he touched them, things have changed. Oh, how the tides have changed. But yeah, Now, Reinhardt, bringing that to my attention, this Marilyn Manson thing, and making me realize how similar this situation is, I want to see how it turns out. Reinhardt says, Summer says same thing. Someone said Someone said the same thing the other day. We're always telling our daughters with the with that runaway from how about telling our sons what not to do, and then the young lady won't have to run away. A previous girlfriend I had would beat me with things for no reason, then cry after saying she's sorry, and no one believed I was being abused till she poured hot water on my back. She has since been jailed. I'm so sorry. What is that? Sky moving? Sky be moving, K. I'm so sorry that happened to you, but it's the truth. These abuse doesn't know a gender. Anybody can be an abuser. You know, hell, I've done some effed up shit in my life. I'm not sitting here like I'm a freaking innocent angel. But again, that is next level shit. That's next level pouring hot water on somebody. That's like that could scar you for life, really. And I'm sure it has. Yeah. Again, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't know what we can do. You know, society is going to be society. We're going to have R. Kellys out there. We're going to have more victims, unfortunately. This is not something that is going to end. Here's a question for you all. Since I got such an active group, and I appreciate y'all. You guys are really contributing this time. But here's a question. Is this a situation that can be fixed? What can we do about predatory people, whether they be male or female? A predator is a predator. 3rd-degree burns on his back, scarred for life. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. That is all kinds of fucked up. It's hard to believe that somebody, especially somebody who says that they love you, because I've been in an abusive situation myself, and it's hard to wrap your mind around somebody that you're believing they can be okay. They're okay. They just got mad this time, or they said sorry, or she feels really bad because she's crying, or all of these things, and find out that this is who they are. That's who they are. They're never going to change. It has nothing to do with the amount of love that you have or what they have. This is a person who is fundamentally flawed. They need help. And we take it on ourselves and be carrying all of this baggage around, and it's not our baggage to carry. So when I hear things about like Whitney and about Sky be moving over here, even the Marilyn Manson and the R. Kelly stuff, I want to know, how can it be fixed? What can we do as the more upstanding members of society? What can we do to fix this? Abuse it absolutely is an awful thing, Whitney. It is. And abuse, it don't have to be physical all the time. Because like they were saying, in some situations, R. Kelly didn't hit these people. He didn't hit these women. He broke them down mentally. When somebody gets into your brain and slowly just starts picking everything that was you out and putting fear and gaslighting and all of these things, they replace you with all of their psychological tactics, and now you don't even know who you are anymore. So then at this point, you start needing them to tell you who you are. DS House, Abuse all over. I live in New Zealand, and domestic and child abuse is high for this small country. Hey, that's something. Uh, it's a high rate of abuse in the country as well. In New Zealand, Reinhardt says, I feel like an abuser's mind works differently. I've been married for 18 years. In that time, I have never physically or mentally abused my wife. But here's the thing. It's never crossed my mind to do so. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I feel like they wired different. And I feel like it's something genetic in them. Because I just don't want to believe nobody is stupid enough to continuously keep doing the same things over and over, expecting a different result. And we can use R. Kelly as an example. Like, okay, you got away with it. Common sense says, okay, at this point, what was he? Maybe his late 20s, early 30s. A young girl when you're in your late 20s, early 30s is 19. That's a safe zone. You meet a 19-year-old who likes all the same kinky shit that you like, and then you don't have to worry about anybody. You don't have to worry about anybody coming for you. But instead, he just keeps going to these young girls. Oh, let's see. Where's Dion? People have to stop ignoring the obvious. When we were in school and suspected those teachers but turned our eyes, we liked them as a teacher, so ignored what we knew was wrong. I still feel bad, But Dion, and I don't know if it was like, because I was talking about this on another live stream, and I don't remember which one. You remember Gary being, I don't know if everybody remembers it the way I do, as a teenager going to high school. That was a predatory environment. We could walk down the hall and somebody would grab your butt, somebody grab your boobs. You got to be on high alert the whole time. You don't know, somebody could just snatch you to the side and start kissing you. This was the environment that we lived in. So this shit was almost normal to us. So yeah, we knew it was wrong, but it felt normal because it happened so much. And I don't know if I'm the only one who felt that way. There was a lot of situations where I was completely uncomfortable with what was happening to me, but because it seemed normal, because it was happening to everybody else, I didn't say anything. Maybe that's why I'm so freaking evil now. Kept my mouth shut for too doggone long. But yeah, this is but I do agree that, okay, there's that saying that has become so popular all over the place. If you see something, say something. And in some situations, that 100%, you know what? In any situation where you see something happening that should not be happening, when you see something, say something. They had a word for that when we were younger, and that was snitch. But I'm saying it's okay to be a snitch if it's going to save heartache and pain and some other, at some other point down the line. If it's going to save you heartache, then tell. Whitney says, it's so sad that happened to you during your time in school. Even when I was in school, guys would pinch us girls' butts sometimes, which made us uncomfortable. Exactly, Whitney. So it's still happening. That's to me even sadder. I thought, that things had evolved past the way they were when I was a young girl. I know that, again, as long as there are young girls and young boys, it's going to be hormones. But, some of these people, they would just take things too far. They really would. And again, we felt like these are normal things. These are things that just happen. It happens everywhere. It doesn't happen everywhere. It doesn't have to happen everywhere. And we need to empower our children first to tell. See something, say something. Even if it didn't happen to you, tell. Because I need to know. Now, my son is grown, but I'm about to, I'm pretty sure some grandchildren are going to come around real soon, and I'm going to have them trained real right. Even if I die before they are born, they're going to see this live stream. I'm going to put that in my will. You need to show them this live stream so that they'll see their daddy telling them what they shouldn't accept. Because, see, Dion says, yes, I can't tell you how many times my breast got touched, got kicked out of class once because I went off. I believe you went off too. Like, just really, I can just see you really going all the way in. But you should have. But you should have. Because it was almost acceptable. And I don't know if it was just me, like I was just rolling over for people. I wasn't making the noise when I should have, because there was times that I should have been quiet and I was fighting and carrying on. So, the times that I probably should have been fighting, I didn't. Oh, yeah. Look, trust and believe. I believe Dion went all the way off on them people. She kept me in trouble. Oh, gosh. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope that, like I said, I don't know. It's and this is gonna sound stupid, because once upon a time in our society, it was acceptable for these grown ass men, they be 30, 40 years old, come to your house and want your oldest daughter, who was 12. The minute she started having a time of the month, they were coming to collect your girl and take her home to marry. And I'm wondering, how close are we to being in that situation again? Right now, we are fiercely protective of our girls, fiercely protective of them. But is there a situation, or is there a way that you think that it will happen where, because we accept all kinds of love, there can finally be a situation where they say, you know what? I was born like this. I was born liking young women, and I need to be accepted. What happens? What happens when that happens? Blunt, I think I lost half of your comment. I see where you said I was in 8th grade at the time, but what happened? Yep. I'm looking at it saying that R. Kelly's lawyer says the case was replete with inconsistencies. Of course they're going to appeal. Of course they are. Dion said the sad thing is I didn't make it stop, because that's what I was pretty much just saying. That wasn't your burden to carry. You couldn't make it stop because you weren't the one doing it. The only thing that you could do is react to what somebody else did to you. And as unfortunate as it is, that's the situation that a lot of people find themselves in. You are constantly reacting. You're not able to, you can't change those people. The only thing that can change a person is the facing the consequences for their actions. Reinhardt said, Tasha, my daughter is 31 now and my granddaughter's 10. And I told her all the lessons I taught you, I talked to your brother too. And you're going to have to pass them on to her. Yep. And that's basically what it is. It's like it's each one teach one. And Bun, I see what you're saying when they were trying to fill on your chest. Yeah, they do these things. They got away with it. So, of course, they would do it again. And that is our situation. We would be in classes, And if a boy touched your behind, if you said something about that, then it's more or less. I mean, it was really. I don't think nothing was ever done. I don't think anything was ever done that when we told. I think now it's more likely that something will be done if somebody puts their hand on your person and you didn't invite them to. But back then, no. It was like, and that's what makes us. It can fuck us up. It can make us think that we are, what's appealing about us is all physical. Because if all the attention that you get is because you got a big butt, or because you got big breasts, or because this, or because that, then that becomes what you think is what makes you beautiful. And that is unfortunate because we all are inherently beautiful. Reinhardt said, on the first things I taught her and my son, keep your hands to yourself. What I mean by that is you may get angry, but you have no right to put your hands on that other person in anger. Now, Dion said, it's worse now, unfortunately, because now with the love is love, there's no one sex you can guard against. It's just strong against the weak now. And then Lysandra says it was not. They would just say they was playing. Of course they was playing. But you don't put your hands on my body. And lastly, what Whitney said, the babysitter at the time who did things to me was only 19 too, which is why my parents trusted her, and I felt like it was my fault because I could never imagine a woman doing that to me. I didn't tell my mom until years later, and I wish I had spoken up sooner. But I mean, when we know better, we do better, right? Hopefully, when you got it off your chest, it actually helped make things feel a little bit better. You start to realize that this was not your fault. This was some, God, I can't believe somebody would do it. I'm thinking just a woman. You think to yourself it's your fault, and then you later will learn that it's not your fault, and this is not your cross to bear. Own your story. Own your story of being a sexual assault survivor, because that's exactly what you are, as are most of the people. It sounds like either a domestic assault or a sexual assault survivor. Most of the people here in this chat today have experienced something terrible. And Whitney says it did help so much. She was no longer holding it in. Exactly. The first thing, let me tell you some shit. All right, Dion, I enjoyed having you here, and I will see you hopefully Saturday. Okay, she said thanks for everybody for the great chat. It was great participation. Thank you, Dion. One of the things, just this year, I lost my father recently, and I know many of you know that, but some of you don't. I lost my father in July, but earlier this year, I talked to my dad and I told him about a lot of the stuff that had happened to me as a young girl. I got it all off my chest. Some of the stuff I've never told anybody. Some of the stuff I may have told one friend or whatever, but I never told my daddy. So I was glad that I was able to let him know that these things did happen to me. And I was talking at length about how I don't want that to happen to my nieces. I don't want them to walk around with being the bag lady. That's because that's one of the bag ladies that Erykah Badu was talking about. You know, we start being a bag lady and you carrying around shit that ain't yours. That stuff wasn't mine. And it's not yours, Whitney. It's not yours, Lysandra. Definitely wasn't Dion's. This is not our stuff to carry around. The only thing that we had power over was how we reacted to what happened to us. And now, hopefully, these young girls feel even more empowered than we did at the time in the early 90s. Okay, so we've talked at length about R. Kelly, and we can go back to it. It's just I wanted to talk about the Kelly Price thing because it seems now she has come out herself and made a statement to TMZ. And it says here that Grammy-nominated R&B and gospel singer Kelly Price, who made headlines Friday when reports surfaced that she was missing in the Atlanta area, she broke her silence Sunday evening, saying she almost died from COVID-19. So, in an emotional interview with TMZ, she said she wasn't missing but was recovering from the virus. At some point, she said, they lost me. I woke up a couple days later, and the first thing I remember is the team of doctors standing around me and asking me if I knew what year it was. When asked to clarify, Price said, I died. It was unclear if she was vaccinated. So Price first addressed her COVID diagnosis in a July 29th Instagram post. And then here recently, her family was saying that they had not heard from her or seen her, and they reported her missing, well, for days, for a long few hours at the absolute least. We wondered what the hell is going on with Kelly Price. Is she or isn't she missing? We've come to find out that she says she was not missing. She's saying that her husband and herself also had they both had COVID, so that's why they weren't letting anybody in the house except for doctors and staff. And her statement to the world that she posted on Instagram was that she said, thank you for your love, concern, and prayers. I truly appreciate them, and all of you who sincerely did them. They are not lost on me. I promise I'm going back into solace and silence where I can put first things first, and that is to be restored, to be healthy, and to be whole. So apparently TMZ has talked to Kelly Price. She says she hasn't talked to her sister, who was making a lot of brouhaha about her missing. She says she hadn't talked to her in a year. So I don't know, what's going on there. Not my business. If she had really spoken to TMZ and this post was really put up by Kelly Price, then I would say that saga is over. That the Kelly Price situation is no longer a situation. She is just fine. So, just in case you was worried, because I was worried, because I was wondering why we hadn't heard anything about Kelly Price being missing until it had been over a month. So, there is one more thing I was going to... Oh, the last thing I wanted to talk about was this 50 Cent story. And I haven't been putting the stories up on the screen because last week Clarence was saying that he couldn't hear me when I put my article up. I'm going to try to put an article up, and you guys let me know if you hear me when I put it up, okay? So... Okay. I don't know what the heck is going on with that. I did want to share that article with y'all, but it is what it is, right? So, on Friday, TMZ revealed that Michael K. Williams passed away from a lethal combination of fentanyl and heroin, and medical examiners are calling the death an accidental drug overdose. 50 Cent says, "Oh damn, he smoked that little blue cap out of the jukebox bag. Hey, catch Raising Kanan this weekend." So now, my question is this. If you don't understand, he's talking about his show Raising Kanan, that Power sequel or whatever. I don't fuck with 50 Cent no more. So I think I might have quit 50 before I quit R. Kelly. Because 50 Cent, he ain't got no scruples. He does not, I swear to God, it's like it's some things that you really shouldn't be talking shit about. And this man constantly and consistently does it. He talks shit about his own children. He talks shit about women. He talks shit about the dead. He talks shit about everything. And I'm wondering, how much more of 50 Cent are we going to take? I don't even fuck with, I used to watch Power. I'm not gonna lie. I did used to watch it. I don't even watch these shows anymore. Because 50 Cent is, to me, he's a freaking cancer to us. Whitney says 50 Cent is very uncaring and disrespectful. I've not liked him for some time. You and me are seeing eye to eye because I can't stand this man. Simply because he just don't know when to shut up. Some things you just don't crack jokes about. Some things when are we going to cancel him? And for many years, we've walked around saying, oh, that's just 50 Cent. He do stuff like that. We got to stop making excuses for people like that. You know, I'm not saying that he has to like Michael K. Williams or Vivica Fox or anybody else. Let me see. I got to show you. Reinhardt says he's slick and there's going to be some shit come out about him at some point. He doesn't care how vulgar or how distasteful he is. And Lysandra said, never liked his music. He cannot rap. But this is what I'm saying. Okay, he can't rap. I got it. I mean, some people would disagree. But we still are supporting his endeavors. We are still people. I'm not saying us as a group. I'm saying people still watch his shows and then ignore the fact that he is doing the most 100% of the time. The most, like, he thinks that just because he says some fucked up stuff, excuse me, I'm passionate about this one now, but he thinks because he says some messed up stuff that he can just erase the tweet and then it all goes away. No, you still said that. You put that out in the atmosphere. I can't understand why we have not left his petty ass alone. Because he is sincerely just the worst. The worst. And while I don't advocate for violence, because obviously that doesn't matter to him. He's been shot multiple times. Something needs to happen to 50. Somebody needs to pay him a visit. And not to kill him. I don't want the man dead. No. I don't. What kind of monster do you think I am? I don't want him dead. But I want somebody to have a real serious conversation with 50 Cent. Because he is wrong. And Lysandra says, I have not watched nothing he came out with. Good. And Whitney says he's done so well for himself, and I always support my brothers who've made it big in this world, but again and again, he has been disrespectful and says some of the worst things that I can't. Yep. Reinhardt says, I absolutely loved his first album. After that, it was done. He has a massive ego. Yes, he does, and I agree with you. I think the first album was pretty good. Then he got into that beef with Ja Rule, and that's when I should have realized there was something wrong with 50 Cent, because he got into the beef with Ja Rule. Then he talked about him for, oh yeah, you on these songs singing, and he talked about him, and everybody laughed Ja Rule out the business. And then 50 Cent turned around, and what did he do? Start singing in his songs. He just wanted Ja Rule out the way. So he obviously is doing things because he thinks it's it's a way to elevate himself. Like you said, Reinhardt, he's got a big ego. But we literally stopped messing with Ja Rule. Not saying that Ja Rule was the greatest thing since sliced bread, but we stopped messing with Ja Rule and started messing with 50 Cent. And 50 Cent has done nothing but been disrespectful to the culture ever since then. And Blunt says, right. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying right about. I don't know which comment. But yeah, he's been just, he's the worst. He's the worst. And Whitney, where I can agree with you is, and this is the same thing, because Lysandra, if you didn't know, Lysandra is my like ace boom cool. We are this close. That's my sister from another mister. But anywho, we were talking maybe the other night, I think, and I was talking about how there are certain black artists or celebrities who I don't like, but I'm immensely proud of them. I'm proud of what they have attained and how they got where they are. Don't necessarily mean that I'm down with what their product is, but I'm proud of them. 50, I'm not even proud of no more. Whitney says, the problem is 50 never gets properly canceled and has to answer to the things he does. He never faces consequences. And that's because from the beginning, 50 Cent has come out being a controversial person. So now they're like, oh, that's just 50. He just doing stuff that 50 do. No. He needs to face a consequence for his actions. We let him get away for the last 20 years, and he's still doing stupid stuff. He's never learned a lesson, and we need him to learn a lesson. You would have thought getting shot 100 times would have taught him a lesson in humility, but here we are. Here we are. I can't stand him. I just, if I could cancel him by myself, I would. But just stop, 50. You know, I really had the biggest problem with him when he was going in on with Vivica and the thing with his son. When that very public dispute was going on with his son, and he was like, you ain't my son. Are you for real? Are you that petty that you will talk to your own flesh and blood that way in the public eye? I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm tired of 50 Cent. I really am. We should have canceled him a long time ago. The clock is ticking. No, I think it's coming because he just does the most. Reinhardt said, he had a concert many years ago in Charlotte. I was working in an electronics store. I want the people, wait a minute. I want the people who was on tour then came in. One of the people who was on tour then came in and said, oh, you're part of 50 Cent's road crew. Guy looked at me. Guy looked at me and said, nah, dog. I'm a soldier. G-Unit. G-Unit. So they're serious. They are serious about the G-Unit stuff back there, huh? Where they at now? Where's any of the G-Unit and those awful clothes? Where's that at? G-Unit. But yeah, I'm tired of 50. I think we should start a petition or something. We need to trade him for somebody The problem is so many people are into this power shit and the spinoff series, and he his popularity is from there now, and he's been around a long time. He made that money back in the day off of, was it that vitamin water deal or whatever he had, and yeah, we can't get rid of him now. We can't get rid of him now. He is part of the fabric of our freaking reality, and I hate it. I really do. And now, those were my topics for today. Now, if you guys want to open chat for a little while, I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Open chat. Whatever y'all want to talk about. But I definitely have had a whole lot of fun. Especially, I like it when it's a lively chat. I love it. And I honestly wish that the person that was from New Zealand would have stuck around for a little while, because I got questions. I got questions. They were saying that how sexual abuse and all of that stuff. Oh, I had a good time too. I thank you so much for hanging out with me, sis. Yeah, I had questions about New Zealand. I like to. This is how I get a lot of information from other countries, is reading or listening to their commentary. Whitney says, "Why are some of the worst people always the most popular? Happens with YouTubers as well." And this has been a good stream. Well, thank you so much for that compliment. And here's my shot at an answer. Because the worst people seem to have the most confidence. Like, I don't know how I come across on camera, but I am not the most confident yet at what I'm doing. But they have the most confidence, and they have these over-the-top personalities, and I do not. So there are people like me who are kind of more subdued. You're too quiet. The worst people make the most noise, I guess is what I'm saying. So Whitney, I don't know if you are subscribed to my channel, but if you could go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and that'll make your girl real happy. And Lysandra, if you've not done it yet, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Reinhardt been with me for a while, so shucks, I know he subscribed. And I don't know if there's anybody else in the chat being quiet. But if you're here, please. Oh, DS House. Yeah. Please hit the like and the subscribe button. You was the one from New Zealand, right? DS House. Because now I want to know. You left me hanging. You were talking to me about the you were talking to me about the crime rate. Yeah, because New Zealand, I've always thought that this was like, oh, I would love to live in New Zealand. Simply, I think most of it is because of the way that New Zealand handled the pandemic situation. I was so impressed with the way I think it's a prime minister of New Zealand. I was so impressed with the way that the prime minister handled that. But then you're telling me that crime might be a little bit different. So tell me what the experience is. Is it a safe place to live? Is the way that the pandemic was handled, is that just like a fluke? Tell me about it. So yeah, I do enjoy chatting it up. Thank you so much for that, Whitney. So DS House says it's super safe. It was just the predators type thing. So what happens to them there? DS, what happens to a person if an R. Kelly existed in New Zealand? How would he be handled, or she? So you're saying it's very safe, super safe, beautiful. I mean, I was always so impressed with, like, if 7 people had been exposed to the virus. Yeah, domestic violence is a quiet, silent enemy. But yeah, the way that she did that with 7 people would have the virus and they would shut it all down. And here we are out here, thousands of people, all around me. I am so concerned, even though I'm vaccinated. I'm so concerned that I'm going to get a breakthrough case because these people just refuse to, to just do what's right. Reinhardt said, "Did you see all the announcements for all the new cast members of Star Trek Strange New Worlds? Was there others besides the stuff that we heard on Star Trek Day? Remember, we watched Star Trek Day together, Reinhardt." DS House says, "They do go to jail and they get to meet the mongrel mob and they will sort them out." And DS also says, "Yes, we're back in lockdown now, level 2. I don't understand I don't know if we need to lock completely down, but something has to be done out here. I've got a cousin who was just recently got it. I don't think it's a bad case for him, but he got it. It's moving around too bad. New Zealand is expected to get 90% vaccinated before they come out of level 2. Wow. Now, to me, that's the way this should be over here. Now that the vaccine is available, we know that it is safe. We know that it is relatively effective. Yeah, lock this thing down and make everybody take the shot. Point blank, period. Let's get to at least, like you said, I'll take 80% in the United States because we suck right now. But Reinhardt, the announcements for that new cast members of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, unless there were more than the ones from Star Trek Day, I did watch those with you. However, I don't think I addressed it in a live stream. I haven't even put my video up for the latest episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. So it looks like there's going to be 2 going up this week because I'm not about to rush myself. I had a bad week last week with all that sleeping and shit. I told you about it already. Yeah, I had a bad week. And DS says, "You would love New Zealand. We're laid back and easygoing." Yeah, I've been thinking, especially over the last few years, like, do I want to leave this country? Do I want to get up out of the U.S. and go someplace else and see how somebody else lives? Because what we got going on here is not, I'm not saying it's the worst place in the world. I'm saying we are so divided now that I wonder, it only took a short amount of time for this amount of division to show up and be visible the way it is now. And I'm wondering how much time will it take for us to at least go back to having a semblance of normalcy. And this right here, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be. Yep. But in case you didn't know, I'm working on a video for the movie Intrusion. That was a Netflix movie, so I'll be putting that up in the next couple days. We still have Star Trek Lower Decks on Saturdays. I do the weekly wrap up at 3 p.m. and during that weekly wrap up, I talk about Marvel's What If, DC's Titans, and other entertainment news. I am always happy to get derailed and have these little chit chats because this is what makes live streaming fun. It's wonderful to watch me just sit here and read articles or tell you the news, but this is fun. Love my time with you all. Time for my dinner. Says, talk to you later. Love you. Love you too. You have a good one. Eat all your food. But okay. With that, I think I'm going. Reinhardt, just for you also. You got your shots as soon as possible. The reason why I did this live stream, sir, is because you told me that you've been off for a little while. I was like, well, shoot, if don't nobody else show up for the live stream, I know Reinhardt will. So that's why I jumped on here and did this special R. Kelly live stream. Goodbye, everyone. Take care, Tasha. Much love. Thank you so much, Whitney. Thanks for hanging out, and it has been a pleasure. Have a good one. So, yep. So, I told you guys what my itinerary is for the rest of the week. I am going to call it 100 myself. It has been real. Reinhardt, maybe I'll come back tomorrow. We'll see what the news is like, because I know you said you're a little bit bored right now. I'll come back tomorrow and we can chat a little. Is that cool? I've subscribed to you in the first lockdown. I found your channel relaxing. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks, DS. I truly appreciate it. And it is nothing like another Trekkie. Nothing like it. So yeah, so I owe you guys a video for the Star Trek Lower Decks episode from last week, which I was surprised because I didn't read anything leading up to it. I was surprised that Jeffrey Combs was there. That made it all that much better for me. But I'll save it for the video. So yeah, tomorrow-ish, possibly. Let's see what the news has in store for us. But with all that being said, I have truly enjoyed today's live stream. You guys have made it truly exciting for me. Nice, lively group, and I appreciate you. With all that, I will see you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace.